Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to tonight's meeting. And those of you watching us on YouTube Live, welcome. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by John. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go ahead and approve the consent calendar, which is the minutes of our October 8th meeting and the payment of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Blake. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll move on to item number 5, which is to consider a Staples Historical Society support request. John Wallach.
This is just really interesting. I might be too short. Let's see. It's nice to have it in front of you rather than me just talk about it. Well, again, it was the last minute call, and that's why I just thought rather than me talking about it, it might be good to just have you see. So thanks for having me, and our board. So you can see we have 5,931 riding out of Staples, and this is what's really interesting. Just last week, Eric Hepler was telling me over a dozen kids going to college are riding the train from the Dakotas because they don't have a car. So they take the train here and then they're going home. And then I wanted you to look on the other page where you see Detroit Lakes, 4,000. Red Wing has 5,600, St. Cloud 8,169, but I'm on 3 boards in St. Cloud: the Downtown Alliance, the Government Affairs, and I've had 2 people tell me that of all their going out west, the Staples Depot is the cleanest. Detroit Lakes doesn't even have a bathroom. So it's really nice here. And then St. Paul, of course, 77,000, but Staples 5,900. A bunch of that is our Amish community that uses it. And then Winona 10. So anyway, we're just here asking again for help with our utilities. We're working on Amtrak increasing their allowance, for everything. But right now we are short. So we're asking again for $2,000 to help cover utilities. And that's why I'm here and, make a presence. But I thought this would be interesting for you to see.
So last fall, when we were working on budget, and I think Tom Kyer and Sally Gordon had come to request that we provide some financial support to the Historical Society. The council requested that they come back annually, to make that request rather than just have it, floating in the budget all the time. So preliminary budget does have the $2,000 dollar amount that we did in 2024.
Yeah, and it is good to see the ridership, almost 6,000 people. So anyway, any questions or?
Question anybody have for John?
Okay, thank you.
John,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Entertain a motion.
John, I guess I do have one question, and last year when Tom was here, we talked about, you guys doing a fundraiser, getting some, have you done anything with that, or?
No, well, see, here's the interesting thing. So Polar Express is coming up, which is our celebration out. But it's a friend raiser, not a fundraiser. So we don't use that as a fundraiser. It's all donation and it's a free event. So there never was an intent to make that a fundraiser. So, but otherwise, no, we've done no fundraising.
Yeah, because I think we talked about, and you've negotiated with Amtrak, or?
Yeah,
not?
Shar and Sally Gorton are working on that right now. And it's a matter of square feet. That's what the issue is. They're still operating under the old square feet setup. And the basement with 4 boilers in it, we're counting all of that now as square footage for Amtrak.
Okay,
But even Polar Express, this is awfully interesting. This is why we're already starting. This will be our 4th year. Year 2, we had 500 and some people. Last year, we had almost 1,200 people in 8 hours at Central Lakes College. So that's really become really something for kids. The only real children's things we have in town are Railroad Days and Polar Express, for the little kids. They get Santa and riding the train and all that stuff, cookie decorating.
so that Polar Express has no charge or anything?
No, and then here's the issue too, Doug. If we do, we had 1,000 in donations, but it takes a lot. I mean, the cookie dough alone was $1,500. I mean, it's amazing, And if we go over, we have to give the money back. So far, between businesses, Sourcewell, Staples Foundation, and Lakewood, and we get about 12,000 to make it go.
Okay. Well, I guess the conversation last year a little bit was, that, I don't know, I for one, I made the motion last year for it, but Tom said that they would work hard to try to cut the cord, so to speak, on us, having the city having to donate to it and work on maybe trying to get a fundraiser going or something to try to offset the cost.
Well, I'm not, yeah, I don't,
If I could, John, I think the primary topic of conversation last year was the lease with Amtrak, which had not changed at all, going back to when the Historical Society took over ownership. And getting that conversation started, I believe, took a long time. But they're working towards that, and I would anticipate that there ultimately will be an increase, because clearly costs have gone up in the last 15 years.
yeah, we wouldn't want to fundraise to help Amtrak. I mean, I wouldn't even be part of that. I mean, they've got to pay their way, Amtrak. So I'm not in on that, though. That's Shar Sauer and Sally Gordon now working on that.
Okay.
So John, I've heard different things about, they're wanting to put a elevator in the depot?
Well, that's if they get going on the 2nd floor.
Okay, is that Amtrak wanting to?
No, that would be Historical Society, and there's money set aside for that, just for that, the elevator. We're just talking Amtrak now, and yeah.
Okay,
I mean, there are plans, but that'll be another $500,000. That'll be state bonding and everything.
right, I just,
The whole bottom part and the roof, that was $500,000. And that was with, Gerald would know more about that. I wasn't even in on that. I didn't get on the board till 3 years ago, so I don't know any of those conversations. You do, though.
Yeah, I believe that was a T21 federal grant that flowed through Todd County as our state aid agency, as it all flows through MnDOT to Todd County, so. But I think that was rebid about 3 or 4 times because of the historic designation of the building, the Department of Interior standards. Those costs continue to just go nuts. So I think they originally had the lower level bathrooms, the other waiting room, and the second floor along with the elevator and a secondary stairway part of that. And, I kind of half-heartedly joked with Lauren Feldbaum from Todd County, by the time we get this done, we'll have, renovated bathrooms, and that'll be about it. Every time the bids came in, they were just crazy. But, they did a good job getting that lower level done, but I believe they're now having some conversations about applying for funding to do the second floor.
Right.
Which would include the elevator, I
Right.
believe. For the museum piece, but.
Oh, okay.
I think, John, just for your, knowledge, and you can take this back, and I know Tom's aware of it, when, for a number of years, the city supported the Historical Society until
Right.
they found out they couldn't.
Right.
And then somewhere along the line, there was a statutory change that allowed us to do it again. But I think the desire of the council last year was, we'll help you out, get the lease renegotiated with Amtrak to cover those utility costs.
Right.
So that we're not looking at an ongoing funding obligation for,
Right.
the
Right.
next century,
Right.
so.
Yep.
Any other questions for John? Thank you, John.
Yep. You're welcome. Thank you.
I believe we have a motion and a second, and we were under discussion, I believe.
So where does this all stop? Who's next? I'm not in favor of this at all.
I think it should be at least, and I know there's a motion, but I think it should include that they have to come back again next year for the request at least, so we can revisit it, so it's not just every day, every year. I think I included that in the motion before last year, so if somebody, whoever made the motion would, I think that should be amended. but whatever.
Was there a motion? Did you?
There was no motion.
That's okay.
We can add, I guess.
So you can, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to support the Historical Society, the $2,000.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Seconded by John. Any further discussion?
I wish you wouldn't have left, though. We could have had a little further conversation. It's about coming back
I
next year.
just feel like, we had this conversation last year about them coming up with a way of fundraising.
Yep.
So it isn't a year, and here we are a year later, and they've done nothing.
But he mentioned that would maybe go to Amtrak, and I'm not in favor of them doing something that's gonna fund more to Amtrak.
Well, it couldn't really go to Amtrak.
How would it go to Amtrak?
No.
No, and
He mentioned
I
it.
guess I could be wrong. I don't remember the fundraiser, having a bake sale type of thing to offset this. I think the primary discussion was to renegotiate that Amtrak lease,
Right. That's
Yeah, I think there was,
which I know they are actively working on. But
And that would take care of that 2,000, hopefully.
yeah, because realistically, their request is to help cover utility costs, not
Yeah.
renovations or,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Maybe they
So-
could put it in the motion that they would try to come back with, if they come next year, they have to have
After they're done
tried.
with their negotiation, I think it would be a good idea for them to come and tell us what happened.
Well, let us know that they're trying, or this is what Amtrak is doing.
Not happen for another year.
Maybe I need to come back.
so is this gonna be they have to come back next year, or is this
It's
just?
a one-time,
Okay.
Yeah, and again, that's why they were here tonight.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it wasn't included in the motion, I don't think so.
But we've asked them to, they've come to request it on the budgets. And that's not a given every year. So they would have to come back and request it.
Does the person who made the motion want to amend their motion?
That they need to come back with a plan, or,
We have a motion and a second, don't we?
well, I think the motion does say they have to come back. I mean, that's implied. That's for this year. If they want something next year, they have to come and request it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
One, two, three. So motion carried. All right, move on to item number 6. Consider approval of resolution 1970 declaring costs to be assessed and ordering preparation of proposal assessment, 2nd Street Northeast Street Utility Improvement Project.
So in your packet is a copy of the resolution. This is for the stuff on the west side of the high school, going up north of Pleasant Avenue there. And total project cost on that was $603,904. The amount to be assessed would be $170,778, with $433,126 being the city's portion. 20 years, 3% would be the terms of the assessment. And I would recommend approval of that. And we've got another resolution setting the public hearing for our next agenda item.
I will move resolution 1970 declaring costs to be assessed and ordering preparation of proposed assessment on 2nd Street Northeast and Utility Improvement Project.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mary, second by Roy. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And then we will consider approval of resolution 1971, hearing on proposed assessment, 2nd Street Northeast Street Utility Improvement Project.
1791 is in your packet. Basically, the resolution spells out 7 p.m. November 12th here at City Hall for a hearing on the proposed assessments. It goes on to say we will notify the property owners that are affected by that to be here if they want to be. So, and last paragraph, just some language related to the assessment, that they can pay it off early if they want. I recommend approval of that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Roy, second by John. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Takes us to the next item, which is to consider request by Sacred Heart Catholic Church to conduct a bingo on November 24th, 2024.
Copy of the applications in your packet.
I'll make a motion for that request.
Motion by Blake, second by Mary Jo. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item is to set our council meeting date for election canvassing on November 12th.
What do you propose?
This will just be to approve the results of the election for the 3 council members and the mayor. Really, it's provided by the county, so.
Can we usually do it at like noon or something, or?
We could set it for a different day, but since we have a meeting within that time frame, I think we have to do it within 10 days of the election. So we
Do you
just.
want to
motion it for the
do it
normal
at
one.
6:45? Right before the council meeting, or is the canvassing board?
Oh, canvassing.
Need a motion?
Make that motion, 6:45.
And what day would that be again?
That would be our meeting date, the 12th.
Okay.
Right, that's our meeting night, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we have a motion, Mary Jo,
I'll second.
second by Roy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Move to item number 10, consider purchase agreement with Sean Boyd for the purchase of Lot 1, Block 1, First Addition to Valley View neighborhood.
A copy of the purchase agreement is in your packet. This is one of the replatted lots up on the cul-de-sac to the north. Purchase price is at the 70 cents a square foot that the council established. Total sale price $14,699.30. Conditions that we have in here, just a couple of items. One, we kind of spelled out, what they're proposing to build, so it's in the purchase agreement, but it'd be a split level, 30 by 52 with 24 by 26 attached garage. And then I'm intending at the next meeting to present the council with a set of covenants, very similar to what we have for the original Valley View plat, that just offers some additional assurances on construction type attached garage, different things like that for Valley View. So if the council approves that, we did put a stipulation in here that they agree to sign the covenants. So, and later on in the meeting, I'll hand out the proposed covenants to everybody. So this construction would start here yet this fall, if it was approved.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by John. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is to consider approval of Sunday on-sale liquor license for I Am Rare Presents LLC at 418 Second Avenue Northeast.
I'll get to it here. So this is a Sunday liquor license application for Bachelor Block. And there's an event coming up here in November on a Sunday that I believe will have the Minnesota Orchestra, is that right? Opera, Minnesota Opera. Ugh. Better be an opera at the Opera Hall. And also a bunch of representatives, I believe, from a magazine, Cabana magazine. And so she's wanting to be able to provide alcohol as an option for that event, and does have a food license through Todd County, so she would qualify for our Sunday liquor.
So this isn't just for that event, it's just to have Sunday liquor going forward.
Right, yeah. And whether she'll continue that beyond, the license period or not, I don't know.
Yeah, because she's not open right now on Sundays, but if she has these special, things going, she has that option. So I make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mary Jo, second by John. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. That brings us to item number 12. Discuss City Code Chapter 6, Animals.
So at our last council meeting, Dr. Kathy Markson was here. She talked a little bit about the process that they use and are required to use down at the vet clinic, which acts as our pound. We've got some other public input about issues with feral cats, looked a little bit at what our existing ordinance says, and I was directed by the council to, try to come up with something that has a little bit better definitions rather than harboring. There was no definition of what that was. So what Tara passed out, and I apologize for we didn't get it into the packet, is a proposed ordinance. I'm not looking for action on it tonight, but just want to throw it out for discussion. That actually puts a definition in place for the feed or feeding, definition of what feral dog or feral cat is, and then also a actual definition of harbor or harboring. The other thing that it does is on the back page, basically does provide a provision for administrative penalties to be utilized for violations of that section of the ordinance. So our city code requires that we specifically identify what areas administrative citations, administrative penalties can be used for. I'll let you guys kind of digest that, so this is, kind of one, potential piece of the puzzle. There's other research being done on the trap neuter release or trap spay release type programs. And I think, Ron, you indicated that there may be somebody available for our next meeting to talk a little bit about some of the services that PAWS.
Well, after our last meeting, I reached out to a person I know who works for PAWS, and she was very anxious to help us out and share the studies and things on the neuter trap release and the success of that. I also talked to some other mayors in the state of Minnesota. That seems to be a very successful program, a successful way of working with this problem. Their vet for PAWS passed away, so they're in transition right now, but she does have some traps, and she has some volunteers, and she has some further knowledge on some ways to help on working that solution. It sounds promising, and she or someone from the organization would be willing to come and speak at our next meeting to help us move further towards a solution to the problem, along with the change in the ordinance. So.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what we do, it won't change things overnight. It's going to take time for this to work and to effect. Hopefully we can come to some workable solution that starts to move us in the right direction. In talking with other communities, this is what they've done, and it's been done with success. It's just for us, I think it's just figuring out the details of how to implement it. So from a financial standpoint and from a manpower or volunteer standpoint.
Yeah, it was kind of, I thought that the timing was a bit ironic, but this morning, all of a sudden, the League of Minnesota Cities listserv started blowing up. Somebody posted hey, we're trying to deal with the feral cat issue in our town. And there was a number of responses of different things that different communities have tried. I think to kind of summarize the discussion, none of them are perfect, or it's not an overnight type of thing. Whether it's it's a trap and put up for adoption, or what we currently do, or a TNR type program. So, but the population, as we know, can multiply very quickly. So.
Any other further discussion?
Is Gerald, is the police department still the, animal control, basically designate? I mean, I think it was by statute, or not by statute, by ordinance, I think.
Probably part of the city code, yeah.
And I know when I was on the police department, we had traps that we loaned or gave to people that could trap the cat, and then they called the officers and had them pick them up. Is that
People still do.
That's still going on? Okay.
Part of the challenge, the thing that we're trying to be cautious about is the number, because the vet clinic, they can't deal with 5 wild cats every morning. They'll stop doing it. And then we have no local option, to be able to drop cats off, or probably dogs for that matter. But, so, like Dr. Markuson said last week, you can't just trap your way out of it.
Right.
Population increases faster than you can possibly do that, so. You gotta look at kind of a multi-pronged approach here, but I think before, we make any decisions about it, let's find out what all the options are and hear from people that deal with that world.
Yeah, I'd like to get volunteers to assist with that, so we aren't having our police officers out there doing this if we're going to do it on a wider scale basis. I just don't know it's a good use of our officers' time.
Do we have, is there a record, or they do ICRs on each cat that they take to the vet clinic? Any course of actions? I know we used to have to do that, so we could get a number, the number of cats that, is.
Yeah, we have the vet bills too. We have the bills from the vet as well.
Yeah, okay. So we would kind of have an idea. I mean, I don't know, unless it's gotten so, I mean, I don't know, I think at one time there was a guy in town here, I think I probably hauled 30 cats for he trapped and I took to the vet clinic, but, back when I was doing it, but, I mean, it's.
Our vet clinic might not necessarily be the place that we bring them, right?
Well, that's possible on a TNR type
On a
program.
TNR program, yeah.
Okay,
All right,
I'd kind of like to have that number about how many we're dealing with in a monthly, yearly, whatever.
we aren't trapping all feral cats right now, though, right?
What do you mean we're not?
We aren't trapping all the cats that exist in the community right
Well,
now.
of course not.
Oh,
There's
you want
still
the
some
number?
walking around.
Right.
I want to know how many the police are dealing with.
Are you guys trapping them? No.
No, but they take the traps to people.
Do you?
They request them, right?
As far as like about a month ago, we quit doing that unless they're like just stray cats, someone's household cats, then we will, otherwise we won't, just because they've been defecating and stuff in the back seats.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
When you bring them trapped, you throw them in the back seat, they get scared, and they start peeing all over the place.
Why, I hope.
So,
Okay, whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll move on then to committee reports. We'll start with Park and Rec Advisory Board.
All right, we met on Tuesday, October 8th for a very short period of time. Nelson informed us that Dusty's Training fixed their machine, and at that point, we didn't have any dates set for them to come clean out the drains and line them. We do have dates now, and it'll be November 20th, 21st, and 22nd that they'll come and do the drains. So, Roger Houselag also emailed me to let me know that the outdoor pickleball courts were in the process of getting tarred or asphalted, whichever they decided. And they're slowly coming together. It'll probably be done by next spring because of shipping supplies take long. And then Gerald informed us that Klobleska would possibly get to Wilson Park to put in some parking spaces over there. And they did do that. When I drove by the other day, there was some. So, and then our meeting ended at 5:29.
questions for Lacey? Thanks, Lacey. That brings us to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Planning and zoning met way back yesterday, which doesn't happen very often. We're the third Monday and the fourth Tuesday, our back-to-back days, but Tara cranked out meeting minutes for us here, so. Commission continued having discussions about possible amendments to the sign ordinance, dealing specifically with the dynamic display, whether it can be on a building or not, what size, that type of thing. So I think we're making progress on that. Quite a bit of conversation. Then the commission did schedule a public hearing for the zoning portion of the proposed cannabis ordinance, which during my report, I'll hand out a copy of the draft of the entire ordinance. The Planning and Zoning Commission only deals with the zoning portion of it, but Doug and John and Blake and I met here a week and a half ago, something like that, and kicked those recommendations to our city attorney, who put it in ordinance form, and went through that with Planning and Zoning last night. And we'll get that, and they'll hold the public hearing, make a recommendation to the council. We'll do a first and second reading and have that adopted the first meeting in December. So ahead of the big kickoff on January 1. And I had a little discussion on accessory building sizes and whether we want to modify our ordinance for that. And that was the end of the meeting, got done just before 6.
Questions for Gerald on planning and zoning? Thanks, Gerald.
Yep.
That brings us to open forum. Anybody that wants to share anything during our time of open forum? Okay, we'll go ahead to city administrator's report.
I had a few items. First, I had mentioned covenants for first edition of Valley Views. Pass those out. At some point for review and approval. As I indicated, they're almost identical to the covenants that were put in place for the original Valley View plat. So there's consistency across the board on that. Cannabis ordinance, again a draft. So as I indicated, there's basically 3 sections within that proposed ordinance. Section 1 is kind of the regulatory piece of it that the council deals with. Section 2 is the zoning that first has to go through planning and zoning. So in the third section basically just removes the old THC language. So read through that. Let me know if you have any questions on it. It's basically lays it out as being as restrictive as it can be by statute, so as far as distances and so forth. Then the last thing that I wanted to just float to the council. Back in 2005, the city did pass an ordinance allowing bow hunting in certain non-agriculturally zoned areas of the corporate limits of the city of Staples. And let's see if I can. I'll try to share my screen, but we did have a request from a property owner that is up in the Highview Estates area. And, curious about the ability to engage in bow hunting in kind of that swampy area west of Highview, north of Prairie Avenue, east of the Park Estates subdivision up there. And there is some precedent for certain areas up there. I'm going to just pull up a map here and share my screen. Apparently it's not going to let me open that file. Oh, there it is. So the 2005 ordinance basically, point at this a bit better. This is Central Lakes College owned property, state-owned property here. This is the EDA Industrial Park property here, the city industrial park. This is the 160 acres that the EDA owns 154 of, I guess now less the farmers union piece. School district property up here, CLC up here, and interestingly, what's now part of Valley View neighborhood, which did exist back in 2005. This 60-acre parcel that the city owns to the east of that in 2005 was zoned ag, so that wasn't included, but people have been allowed to bow hunt on that for years. This basically is the chunk right in here that we're being requested to allow bow hunting. And if we do amend the ordinance, which we have to do anyway to get rid of that piece that's part of the Valley View neighborhood, they're requesting to be able to bow hunt in that area as well.
Would that be a special permit, Gerald, for that, or would it just go with the regular DNRs?
Basically, they have to request permission.
Okay.
And I probably have, I would say 7 or 8 people that annually, call or email on the, industrial park, city-owned property. And it's worked out well. We haven't had any issues. Everybody understands if there's issues, pretty soon they don't get to bow hunt out there. So they've all been good to work with. Like I say, there's been, since 2005 when that was put in place, there's been some zoning changes and also some additional development up in there. But that, I believe that swampy area back in there between Park Estates and Highview Estates probably has more than one deer stand hanging out there already. So
That's what I was gonna ask today.
it has for years.
Can you put up portable stands then, or?
Yeah, they have to hunt out of an elevated stand.
Okay.
So that's the property behind the senior campus
Be to the north
of that,
and east
yeah.
of, yeah.
Behind.
Let me see if I can pull up a different aerial here. So prairie down here at the bottom. My cursor not show up there? Oh, I get, there it is. Senior campus right here. Yeah, it's not moving very fast. So Care Center's right here. Pipeline comes across here. Highview, Park Estates, Valley View. So this is the piece right in here that currently is designated as all in bow hunting. This is the piece that was ag, but now is residential. And this down here In a white deer, there's still some high ground out in the middle of that. But wanted to float it out, see if the council was open to, modifying this to clean up that, half a quarter section in Valley View and consider including the city-owned property in, kind of in that void. Those are the deer that run out on Airport Road and get hit by people's vehicles. Thoughts? You don't have to decide anything tonight, we can talk about it. None of this won't be done for hunting this year.
Yeah, it should have been brought up in June, not now.
Is it a request because it's too overpopulated, or just somebody thought it was a good idea?
No, it's, the couple that are requesting it is basically a nuisance deer thing, and I believe they're also bow hunters, but there's a lot of deer over there.
So do we look at it and assess the number of people that can, or is it limited access because it's only private? Or private land there, or is there?
Oh, it's city-owned.
So it,
But how do they get into it? Where do they park and go in?
I mean, I guess theoretically, they could walk up the, off a prairie onto city-owned property.
And how many licenses would they give out, Gerald?
It's not licensed, it's more permission. So,
well, they still have to have a license.
Right, they're
yeah,
gonna
I'm
follow.
sorry. Yeah, you still have to have an archery license from the DNR.
But I mean, is there a number of people that you're gonna allow in there? I mean, is there, like, how much area, or, I mean, I realize it probably doesn't concern me, but on the other hand, it does.
Yeah, I have, and any of the other stuff, I don't have an established number. What I do is if I get a request and already have somebody hunting there, is I put the hunters in communication with each other. So that, if there's a 20-acre parcel of woods, the new hunter communicates with the existing hunter, and, so they don't end up with tree stands on the same tree, facing different directions. So, and a lot of times if, people look at it and go, there's not really enough room here for both of us, or, they've already got a couple of people out there.
And there's no city liability for that, for them on there?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I don't see an issue with it.
Same.
I don't think it's gonna turn into like a Camp Berkeley bow hunt, so I mean.
So, and, that's a big chunk
I'd rather have
up there, so.
shoot them than have them run over.
Can we require an elevated stand so they're shooting downwards?
So if you're open to it, I'll bring ordinance amendment and new map back to everybody, so you can decide officially. And maybe we'll get feedback from, people in the neighborhood that are like, heck no, those are my pets, or,
You don't want an arrow humming, singing in their yard too.
What's that?
I said they won't want arrows that are loose heading toward their house either.
Oh, and that's the whole thing with the elevated stands, you're shooting at a downward angle, and,
Did you say, Gerald, that they also have to be so far off of,
That'd be at least 300 feet from a dwelling, that's DNR rules.
So if we get any people that say that, are we gonna have to tell them that, not to feed them?
I was gonna say, a lot of people think about deer in their garden the same way people think about feral cats, so, but I wasn't gonna go there. So, all right, that is all I had on my list, so. We have 3 weeks before our next meeting and the election in between there, so you candidates, good luck to you.
Ron, I'd like to say one thing.
hang on a second. We have a motion, but Mary Jo wants to say something.
No, it's not about this. We can, oh, you're gonna,
Do you want to close the meeting? Is this?
No. I just wanted to, I had a couple incidents last week. It was a terrible week. And Officer, don't know his last name. Okay. I just want to he did an awesome job for both of them. He did a good job.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move that we adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, me too.
From Roy, second from Mary, to all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.